The night before last, I just spent a large part of the evening with a family whose son had apostatized from Islam to Christianity. This was a boy who was praying 5 times a day. This is a boy who, subhanallah, his mother was saying he refused to eat the sweets on Halloween because he said it's haram. And this boy has now become a Christian. And by the way, this is not the only case. When I was here last year, not here in Vancouver, but when I was here in Canada, but I was in Edmonton, a brother invited me to his house and was explaining sorrowfully how his son had become an atheist. Why are these things happening? Believe me, I do not believe for 1 second a person becomes a Christian because Christianity makes any logical sense. Nor do I believe a person becomes an atheist because atheism makes any logical sense. You will find that when people become Christians or atheists, deep down inside, when you begin to look, you'll see the issue is an emotional issue. It's an issue of identity. It's an issue about how does that person think about themselves. So usually before I talk to the person, I want to see the family. I want to have an insight into what is the background under which this kid is living. But one of the things I discover almost universally is nowhere do I find parents, except in very, very few cases, but you don't find any cases of apostasy amongst those families who bring up and they teach their children to have a proactive dawah mentality. You see, why have most of us come to live in the West? What's the reality? Why are most of us living in the West? What is the reality? Why are we here? For what reason? And the reality is, brothers and sisters, most of us are here in the West for materialistic reasons. We came here and we continue to live here because life is comfortable. Life is easy, materialistically. That's the reality. But you know, the strange thing is, if any one of you was to go to Uganda or Rwanda or Burundi, for example, or Congo, I'm just mentioning those places because I went, well, I didn't go to Congo, but I went to Uganda, Rwanda, and Burundi relatively recently. I am sure that all of you will make sure that you find out what are the inoculations and the vaccinations that I need. Because I'm sure it's in your mind, wait a minute, that place it's the tropics, it's going to be full of, diseases. And because it's a third world, backward country, there's going to be, sanitation issues. And so you're going to make sure that you protect yourself, that you inoculate yourself. And if you took your family, you'd make sure that you got all those jabs and those injections and things like that. But I wonder how many of you, when you came to Canada, you thought about inoculating yourself. I don't mean inoculating yourself against physical diseases. But what have you done to inoculate yourself against the dangerous ideas that you are going to be exposed to? I wonder how many of you here today, if I sat down with you, could give me a convincing and solid explanation about how do we know that God exists. How many of you could refute basic, simple arguments of atheists? How many of you could deal with some basic ideas that a Christian missionary would put forward to you or your children? How many of you are able to articulate a case against or explain to your children what is Islam's position on the theory of evolution, for example? Because these are all ideas that your children, by going to school, are going to be exposed to every day. Or how about the idea, or the predominant idea of secularism, that you should separate religion from your everyday life? You see, that's the strange thing, brothers and sisters. You wouldn't hesitate to get all the jabs and injections that you need to protect yourself from a physical disease. But something that is much more damaging, something that is much more dangerous, what have you done to protect yourself and protect your family? Because you know, if you get malaria, or you get cholera, or you get lockjaw, or you get diphtheria, and you die, and you're a Muslim, and you have Iman, alhamdulillah, wallah, you're going to be successful. You will be successful. You will be successful. But if you live the healthiest life, and you never have a cold or a flu any day, but you and your children, they die outside of Islam, you failed. That's the biggest disaster that can ever fall upon you and your family. I asked this brother, I said, brother, how much would you pay now? How much would you pay for your son to come back to Islam? He said, anything, brother, anything. Anything. But what did I find out? Let me tell you about the life of this family. There is no life of this family. The family has no life. The father was so busy working 7 days a week. 7 days a week. I said, what do you do as a family? Nothing. What trips do you make together as a family? Nothing. Do you know what? This family do not even eat together. The mother cooks the food, and the kids take the food and they sit in their rooms. And what is in the room? The internet. This mother would not let her son, who's apostatized, she would only let him go to school and come back. Go to school and come back. She's so strict. But she lets in his room something that contains what is worse than what you will find outside. Even in, I don't know, the back streets of Vancouver, you won't find the filth and the rubbish and the corruption that comes through that internet. And a parent will allow their child to sit in a room on their own with the internet? What madness is that? What madness is that? They don't sit together. They don't eat together. Because I was asking the young, because, you know, I thought, okay, I heard enough from the parents. Let me ask one of those little girl, Aisha, she must have been like, I don't know, 12 or 13. I said, tell me, Aisha, what do you think? What do you think, Aisha? She said, we never talk to our brother. We never talk to our brother. He sits in his room the whole time. I said, why did you bother having a family? Why bother having kids? What for? Just you, your wife, enjoy your life, and you know, you can have a nicer car, a nicer, what did you do it for? You have no family. You see, I could see the disease. This was not about logic or reason or what religion made sense or not. No, this is a deeper disease. I wonder how many of you live a diseased life like that. This is not a family. It's not a family life. This is not an Islamic life. So you make movements that resemble the movements of the prayer. Is Islam just making movements and saying some words in Arabic that you don't understand? Going through some rituals? Why is marriage half of your deen? Why?